parents in Springfield are raising concerns after learning about a threat investigation at their children's school. One of them, a Western Mass News viewer who reached out to us to get answers.
Western Mass News reporter Reagan Stoddard joins us live in Springfield with details. Reagan, this comes less than a week after the deadly high school shooting in Georgia.
Yes, Abby and Chris, and that's why parents are so concerned. All of this stemming from a message to Libertas Academy Charter School families this week. Just days after a 14-year-old is accused of carrying out a deadly high school shooting in Georgia, Libertas Academy Charter School in Springfield sent an email to families on Monday that left many concerned. One parent shared that email with Western Mass News. It starts off saying, "Our thoughts and prayers are with the families, students, teachers, and friends of those impacted by the mass shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia that has claimed the lives of 2 students and 2 teachers." But then went on to say, in part, quote, "We also wanted to use this as an opportunity to share a recent incident that occurred within our community." During a conversation with a staff member, one of our students proceeded to make comments and jokes about shooting up our school. And this led to an investigation and the discovery that a friend of his, not an LACS student, had a stolen weapon. The young person has subsequently been arrested. The parent who reached out to us tells us many in the school community are concerned about security at the school. Western Mass News spoke with Springfield Police spokesperson Brian Walsh, who could not speak about this particular investigation, but he did say his department has seen an increase in school-related threats.
Our officers deal with this on at least a weekly basis, especially after a school shooting incident like we saw in Georgia last week.
He says every threat is treated as credible until determined otherwise.
So we go to the students' homes, we ask for search warrant waivers, we search those homes, and twice I can remember in the last 5 years, firearms were located in the home. We did ask Libertas Academy Charter School for a response to parents' safety concerns, and they tell us that they do have 4 active shooter safety drills a year and that they are in communication with parents and students and resharing these emergency protocols. Reporting live in Springfield, Reagan Stoddard, Western Mass News.